What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're covering some r/relationships. Before we get started, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to each and every one of you for taking the time out of your day to be here. And don't forget about our Christmas competition over in Discord. Come get involved. Would love to see you. And just thank you. And with that being said, let's just crack on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from Evil Rhino 229. My 24 male narcissist mum, 42 female, tried to guilt me into coming over to a private Thanksgiving dinner and knowingly exposed me to the virus. My mother has always been a manipulative person and I didn't have a good relationship with her until after I moved out. Good is a bit much. It took me until near adulthood to identify much of her behaviour as abusive and toxic. After I moved in with my girlfriend and didn't have to see her every day, which improved a lot, but no matter what I try and do to bring attention to how I was hurt, she denies all responsibility. Whenever I bring up something she did, she responds with a textbook gaslighting, assuring me that I'm just remembering things wrong and that what I was telling her about never really happened. My girlfriend and I are broke and hurting for food at the moment, so when my mum offered to make food for a small Thanksgiving dinner between us and her husband, a prison CO, we didn't pass it up. My girlfriend ended up being sick the day of, unrelated, but otherwise generally didn't seem too enthusiastic to go, so I assured her we didn't have to. When I broke the news to my mum, she instantly launched into a tirade of how much food she made, how she'd never done this before, and how I had to at least get some to take home. The guilt trip didn't sit well with me, and I almost decided to stay home over that alone, but then she informed me that her husband was sick with what happened to be a cold. Like an absolute fool, I went and ate for a little so I could do my duty and bring my girlfriend some glazed ham. My mum assured me again that her husband was just a little congested and cleared space for me to sit pretty far away from him just in case. I stayed away for as long as I was there because I was apprehensive, but I was still just in the house with him. Well, this morning, after I did grocery shopping for the week, she messaged me very seriously, informing that his test results came back positive and that I should get tested as well. Well, I complained that I wasn't even aware her husband was waiting on results to begin with, and that I wouldn't have visited if he had been. She responded by saying that he works in a prison where some guards have come back positive, so he's just been getting tested constantly, and that she didn't think he was at risk either. This struck me as odd, and I thought it was an unusually irresponsible decision to make, as she knew the results were coming back, and that what she explained as congested should have been the first indication of symptoms, and needless to say, I'm beyond upset. I'm accustomed to my mum making rash and potentially harmful decisions with little regard for me in the past, but this was by far the most egregious, preventable thing she could have done given the current circumstances. I've been tested and am quarantined pending results, but I can't help but feel angry that my mum for the lack of responsibility it took to put me in this situation. I've dreamed of going NC for years. Is this an acceptable final straw to make that happen? Am I justifiably upset? Now, I'm not playing down your mum's toxic behaviour or manipulative behaviour at all, because from what you've said, and I don't want to play down any of those experiences you've had, you know, but at the same time, this is a common sense issue. You know they were sick, you know he was in that job, that he's like in a high risk job. A lot of prisons are dealing with a virus at the moment, so you know it was high risk. Why would you risk going around there? You know, you were just as much to blame in this situation as your mother. Your mother invited you, but you went. You decided to go, you didn't have to go. And you saw, from what it says here, you know what your mum was like. So her manipulating you, you could have just twisted that around and said, look, I'm not coming. End of. But you didn't and you went. So there is that. But let's have a look at some of the comments to see what they say. Jimmy Jr. Dance Party says, sorry to say, but common sense would have dictated that if someone is sick during this time, particularly someone who works in a high-risk place like a prison, you should assume that it's possible they have COVID. Unfortunately, I think you were just as irresponsible as she was here. Overall though, it sounds like this one incident is much bigger picture of poor behaviour, and that your life would be a lot less stressful if you did go no contact with her. You don't need an acceptable final straw to end a relationship with an abusive person. And Robin All Day says, I'm sorry, but I'm sure your mum has been toxic and manipulative, but this isn't exactly a good look for you either. You let her know that you couldn't go after she already made plans for food for 4 people the day of. She said you can just pick it up and take home for leftovers and that a significant other is sick. With this information, you decide to go over there, spend time over there, and are now upset you might have been exposed to COVID. You're kind of playing fast and loose with your safety regardless of what your mum did. She might have guilt tripped you, but by your own account, she said you could just stop by and grab some food, and you were the one who decided to stay while someone was sick from a high-risk job during a pandemic. If you want to go NC with your mum, you don't need anyone's permission, as no one here can say whether she deserves it or not, but your behaviour here didn't seem great either. Now, what do you guys think of this story? Do you think OP was right to go around there and just try and keep the peace, or do you think that they should have used their common sense and stayed away? Let us know in the comments below. And our next story is from a throwaway account. My 25 female, husband's 30 male, parents are racist and make fun of my accent, traditions and me in general. My husband and I have been together for 5 years now, married for 1 year. He's from the US and I'm from Poland. I had to teach myself how to speak English at the age of 18 because I only had the option to learn Russian at school. So as you can tell, my English isn't perfect, but I'm happy that I can at least express all of my thoughts, even if it's not always in a grammatically correct way. Mother-in-law and father-in-law don't like me at all because I'm the outcast. My husband has 4 older brothers and all of them are married to American women. Everyone is respected except for me. Here are some things that my mother-in-law and father-in-law have mocked me for / have gotten mad about. My accent. No matter how hard I try to sound American, I will always have some sort of Slavic accent. Personally, it doesn't bother me, but mother-in-law and father-in-law are laughing about it and make me feel bad about it. Traditions. Last Christmas, all of my husband's family came to our house for dinner. In Poland, you would prepare 1 extra chair and plate at the table. So basically you set the table for 1 more person than necessary, because in case an unexpected guest turns up, you have to feed them. It's a harmless tradition, but mother-in-law and father-in-law kept making fun of it. There were more situations like this with Polish traditions. No shoes in the house. I thought it was entirely normal to remove your shoes once you step into a house, but no, mother-in-law and father-in-law started yelling at me when I politely asked them to take off their shoes, so they would walk around on our floor and carpets with dirty shoes. My weight. This is something mother-in-law laughs about. Mother-in-law is slightly overweight. The rest of the family is very fit and slim. I struggled with my weight for years now because I just can't gain weight. Mother-in-law never misses a chance to laugh about how sick and skinny I look. Pregnancy. I'm not very far along, but my husband told his brothers that I'm pregnant because he's really excited about finally becoming a dad. Somehow this information has gotten to mother-in-law and father-in-law. They're furious about this, and mother-in-law even has the audacity to email me saying that I should abort the baby. When I told my husband about this, he confronted mother-in-law and she said it was just a joke. Lastly, mother-in-law and father-in-law are just straight up racist. Whenever I'm on the phone with my parents, they can't speak English. Mother-in-law or father-in-law tells me that I should speak English because we're in America. Whenever they can't find a certain object, they make jokes about how I probably stole that object because I'm Polish and obviously every Polish person is a thief. My husband is on my side. He always defends me and tells his parents that their behaviour is unacceptable. He didn't even invite his parents to our wedding, which I'm really grateful for. But the problem is that I don't want to be that person that keeps my husband away from his parents. I know that he loves them, but at the same time, he hates their behaviour. I'm the reason why my husband's relationship with his parents is strained, and I kinda hate myself for that. Is there anything I can do in this situation? I want to distance myself as much as possible from these people, but I want my husband to have contact with his parents. Let's just start off with, you're not the reason his relationship with his parents is strained. They're the reason for this. They're the one that's causing these issues. To email someone to tell them to abort a baby. What the actual hell, man? Are they insane? That is a no contact thing right there. Right there and then. But then to turn around when your husband confronted her and said it's a joke. Oh, ha ha ha, abort your baby. Great one. I would sit down with your husband and say how uncomfortable you are, and I'd bring up all these points and say, look, I need to just keep away from them, I can't see them no more, and just gauge what your husband says from there. He sounds like he's pretty supportive, so I'd go down that route if I was you. But No Gazelle says, and quotes, they are furious about this, and mother-in-law even had the audacity to email me saying I should abort the baby, and then says, this is absolutely unacceptable. They clearly do not want you to be a part of their family. Your husband needs to let them understand that if that's what they want, he's not going to be as well, until they stop being like this. Dave T says, and quotes, that I don't want to be the person that's keeping my husband away from his parents. Then says, you're not. Your husband's parents are the people who are keeping him away. Driel says, your husband should be the one defending you and setting boundaries. He should absolutely never allow them to talk to you the way they do. You say he did/does, but he also keeps them around. You're a package deal now, so we need to tell them to stop or you will not see us anymore. The end. That's a very good point, actually. Chocolate Bloom says, wow, that's so hateful. Your husband is great for defending you, but honestly, I think he can do more. He should set straight boundaries because no one deserves to be treated like that, family or not. I'd go no contact until they can all behave themselves. You're not missing out on anything with people like that. And Acidic says, and quotes my accent, no matter how hard I try to sound American, I will always have some sort of Slavic accent. Personally, it doesn't bother me, but mother-in-law and father-in-law are laughing about it and make me feel bad about it. And then says, how's their Polish? Fuck these people, they're racist scum, not worth your time and energy. Now, I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? How should OP deal with it? Let us know in the comments below. Our next story is from Tara the Tarantula. How do I, 36 female, get my neighbor, 33 female, to stop trying to sell me stuff? Now, I saw this title. I haven't read it as yet, but it's screaming MLM to me, so let's get involved. My boyfriend and I moved in 2 months ago to a rental duplex. A family with 2 kids lives on the first floor. We don't share a ton in common, but that's besides the point. The wife has an Arbonne business. Which means she sells overpriced protein powder, bars, mixes, etc. from home. She added me as a friend on Facebook and immediately invited me to a Facebook group for the business, which I made a post about on Facebook about how I'm going to try and get my physical trainer license. She messaged me privately to tell me all about her own business. I've been out of the job for 1.5 years. I have also moved 5 times now and I live in an area with a few decent paying jobs. I made it clear that I'm way behind in bills and depend on my boyfriend to get us by right now. She kept writing back on Facebook, telling me she understood. I apologised and directly told her I cannot afford to buy anything right now, but wished her luck, and she said she understood but wanted to create a gift pack for me anyways. I again reiterated I could not afford to buy her stuff. She left the gift pack on our stairs. It was a plastic bag of samples. I tried the powder and one of the bars, figured she got that I was in a hard position and just trying to include me in on a social thing and business for when I did get a job. I figured that was that, but no, she sent another message asking how I liked the products and if I had questions on how to use them. I don't really know what to do at this point other than not respond. I already made it clear that I can't find decent work to pay my own bills. I've been out of work for over 1 year and I'm working part-time at low paying jobs and can't pay any bills, and I'm relying on my boyfriend 100%. There's no question I'm struggling. Her attempts to include me and proceed to sell me expensive crap are really demeaning and insulting. I want to return what I haven't used to her doorstep, honestly, but that's harsh and vindictive. I think I will just not respond because I've told her about 4 times I already can't afford my own bills right now, never mind expensive protein powder. Is that what I should do? How would you handle this? No, I don't think handing the samples back is harsh and vindictive at all. I think it's absolutely the right thing to do in these situations, and people get stuck in these MLMs and we see it time and time again. They're so convinced of what they're doing is like a full-time business and so good, and they're empowering people and all this kind of thing. They're so convinced by it, and once they get their hooks into you, that's it. They will keep trying, they will keep messaging you, asking how you want to use it and can they do anything else for you and all this kind of stuff. As I mentioned before, I got someone on my Facebook. I don't go on Facebook very much anymore because it's just so crap. But they are constantly selling this shit all the time. They've been through 3 different makeup ones. This particular person goes through makeup ones. I can't remember what one it is now. I'm going to go look it up quick. And I'm right on their profile right now. I'm obviously not going to share it, but the profile starts off with like, wife, mum of 2, makeup artist, LFBG with Lime Life by Alcone, leader, empower and uplifter. And then they've got their team name because they all have these little teams that they're part of. And then straight away on their profile, posted like 1 hour ago, a quote, make happiness a priority and be gentle with yourself in the process. Then it's got like the Lime Life branding on there too as well, and like a website and all that kind of stuff. And the profile is just so full of this sort of stuff. But I know for a fact this person truly believes they have a proper business set up and that they're going to really do amazing things with it. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for like empowering women and making them feel good about themselves and stuff like that. But you don't need an MLM to do this. But yeah, I'm going too far with it. Let's have a look. Birth L Pup says, your neighbor doesn't have a business. She's an MLM. It is totally fine to tell her no and keep telling her no. Up to and including fuck no. People who have been sucked into these types of schemes have 0 morals left. So you don't need to feel bound by normal social rules and politeness. They sure don't. Paper Yes says, perhaps take a gander over at r/anti-MLM. And if you haven't ever been there before, please do. It's an amazing place. Flapping Wind says, it sounds like she's in an MLM. She won't take no for an answer. Many of them don't. Like other commenters said, look at r/anti-MLM. There is also a largest community on YouTube. I would look too. Good luck. I would try and stay away from her. Yes, there's also a community that really focuses on this sort of stuff called Illuminati. Have a look on YouTube and search her up too. Very entertaining stuff. And Kratos with Cappuccino says, she knows she's being pushy and violating boundaries. She's doing it intentionally as a hard sell tactic. Just unfollow her on Facebook and leave DMs on red. If she talks to you in person, just be vague, like you're really busy these days and so you don't have time to catch up. The point is that you don't owe her anything. You need to be rude, but you also don't need to engage at all. Don't comment on whether you like the products or didn't like the products or anything like that. Just give no info. Mleek says, it is not harsh and vindictive. Return it with a note thanking her and letting her know you'd rather the rest of the samples not go to waste, as you will not be purchasing anything. She's being extremely rude. You're entitled to be a bit rude back, so stop telling her you can't afford and just say, no, I'm not purchasing anything, thank you. Don't accept anything. Stop responding to messages about products. Be friendly and cheerful if you run into her in the near future, but stop explaining yourself. No is a full sentence. I'd absolutely unfriend anyone who is in an MLM like this. They are being trained to abuse all friendships and connections with these bullying tactics. There is no reason to invite them into your life, and you're not obligated to be Facebook friends with your neighbors. Now, I turn this one to you guys. Do you guys know anyone who's in an MLM, especially on Facebook? I always find it really, really fascinating. If you go to some of these Facebook groups and join them, we don't do it because they will literally jump on you as soon as you do. But I'm infiltrated on some of those groups and it's a shit fest. But what do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story is from a throwaway account. Just found out my girlfriend, female 25, cheated on me, female 25, on Thanksgiving. Long time lurker, first time poster. Sorry if this is a mess. I'm on mobile and my head is a mess right now. I met my now ex-girlfriend last year when we started working together at a business that her family owns. We were friendly at work and even hung out outside of work a few times. After she broke up with her ex-boyfriend earlier this year, her and I quickly hit it off. We began an official couple in June. I thought things were great. We had fights just like every other couple, but we're always able to communicate and make up. A few months ago, she had a new roommate move in, male 29, who also happened to work with us. Well, today I get a message out of the blue from her saying that she wants to break up and she's been feeling a distance between us. I told her that I didn't understand where this was coming from, and she admitted to being in love with her roommate. She then goes on to admit that she had sex with him last night, after we had spent a great Thanksgiving together, and even had sex before I went home that night. I told her to give me my things and I didn't want to speak to her or hear from her again. Along with all the horrible feelings that getting cheated on come with, I have to go to work and see the guy she cheated on me with. Her family owns the business I work for. I know this is partly my fault for getting involved with a co-worker. I don't know what to do. I feel so lost, hurt and betrayed. I'm not even sure what I'm trying to achieve by posting here. I guess I could really use some support and advice. Now this may be reaching a bit. She broke up with someone to get with you and then she broke up with you to get with someone else. It seems like someone that like that is just jumping from relationship to relationship and quick to have sex with people and stuff like that. It's very sort of that's sort of concerning to me anyway. I'd be sort of worried about someone like that. And I think you're totally valid in feeling the way you do. But personally, in that situation, if the family, it depends on the family who owns the business, what they're actually like. If they're understanding and things, you could maybe just carry on and just not have contact with this person, just under a professional basis. But if it's really going to affect you, I would try and get a couple of weeks off. I'd even play sick, you know, and then just try and find a job that way and then just have them totally out of your life. That's what I would go down anyway. But I've done the work, says it actually sounds like you're much better off without her. She monkey branched from her ex to you, and from you to her new guy. I definitely see a pattern in that, don't you? And that's what I was thinking, it just felt too weird. Byron says, you must start by applying all over creation for another job. Barely Alive says, maybe she really belongs to him and they live happily ever after. Meanwhile, the girl you belong with is getting a large chili cheese fries across town. It's your job, you need your job, and yeah, it's gonna hurt. If you stayed with her, a family would own you, own every damn part of your life. You're lucky you got out when you did. Damn, I'm hungry now. A Plus says move on to better things. And Sindosh says, honestly, I'd tell the bosses I have COVID and spend the next 2 weeks looking for another job. Any job, like anything, and never go back. Yes, lying, but fuck going to work in that environment. Owl of Cinder says, sucks to get dumped bro, but at least you are young. The relationship's only a year old. No marriage, no kids. You'll get over it. Chin up for now and look forward to falling in love again. Lesson learned about dating work colleagues. Now, what would you do in this situation if you was OP? Would you stay in that job and try to work through it, or would you just completely leave and do something else? Let us know in the comments below. Once again, guys, thank you for being here today. I hope you really did enjoy today's stories. I'm having a blast just lately getting involved with you guys, talking to you in all different platforms like Twitter and Discord and all that sort of thing. Don't forget, we've got the Christmas competition going on. Discord link down below. All rules are on there. Please come get involved. It'd be great to see you. And also the merch store, which is down in the link below. I will be updating that this coming week with new lines as well. So yeah, get involved there. And you guys have been absolutely amazing. The constant support from you is just absolutely mind-blowing. So thank you so much. Honestly, bang in my heart when I say this. Honestly, it's very kind of you. So have a great day, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.